Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Gamerpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today, we're talking about first contact. Well, specifically, we're talking about contacting other people because talking to people is the number one way to get any kind of business. Now, you don't have to believe me. You can actually go back and watch any of the people who have discussed business development or consulting or getting new clients on any of my interviews. You can go back and watch all that. This is not new information. I don't think there's gonna be any new information in this particular episode because I want to impress upon you in this one the importance of being brave enough to start reaching out to people. When I was starting my consulting business years and years ago, and in fact, when I was starting my law business and when I was starting pretty much every one of my businesses, I started with nothing. I didn't get an investor. I didn't want an investor. I didn't have any partners in it. It was me and usually my wife. And we would go, hey, I got this brilliant idea. Let's do it. And so I would put all this stuff together while she would do all the marketing. And what happened was we would get clients. We would get people to talk to us. But here's the trick. I didn't do any of that work. In fact, me putting together the thing, whether it was, a coaching program or some software or, books that I was writing, video packages, all that stuff, the content that we are making is not what sells people. What sells people is actually touching them in some way and reaching out to them in some way and presenting some sort of advertisement or some sort of promotion in front of them. That is really the only way that anybody makes money. Now, in the gaming space, there's this belief that you can make a lot of money just sitting there and playing your video games. And if you look at the numbers, though, it's just not true. It's just not true. It crushes people when they hear this because for some reason they think I can do it. All I got to do is pick up the controller and start playing, and droves of people are going to come to me. They're going to throw piles of cash at me, or I'm going to get so many views on YouTube or somewhere else that I don't have to worry about money ever again. And that's just not how it is. The content that you're making is part of what you need, but it's not the most important piece. Having fantastic content, high-end content, high-quality content that's engaging with people, that's important. But unless you're marketing it, unless you're putting this in front of other people, it doesn't really matter because they're never going to see you. A while back, I heard, you may be familiar with the expression, you build a better mousetrap and the world will beat a path to your door. That's only partly true. And it's only partly true if they know about the mousetrap. No one's going to come and buy your mousetrap unless they know that there's a better mousetrap out there. And that's on you. That's on you as the either content creator or the business owner or the esports manager or whatever it is you're doing out there on the other side of this camera watching me. You have to understand that marketing is like the number one thing when it comes to, creating wealth. Now, again, you do need a product. You need something to sell. And, I'll tell you, I've taken a lot of coaching programs. I've spent a lot of money on coaching and sales programs and all of that. And I'll tell you, a good number of the coaches that I've listened to will actually say, you don't even need a product. You need an idea for a product, sell the idea, and then after you sell it, then make the product. That's a little sketchy. There's some laws that may apply. Go talk to an attorney. But you do need something to sell. And then you need to get in front of people. So particularly like what I'm doing this week is, if you're on LinkedIn, you have probably seen me really active this week. I've been crazy active on LinkedIn this week. I think just in the past 4 days, I've gained 100 new connections, which it's a lot of messages. And I'm sending messages to people and I'm commenting on people's stuff and I'm engaging on people's stuff. And the only way for anybody to get to know me is by taking that type of action. I have to put myself out there. And, so many people who are following me right now, the only reason they ever decided to follow me in the first place was because they probably saw an ad from me. And I've been running the same exact ad since March. I wrote out one copy, just one paragraph about what a gamerpreneur is. And, this was before I was still figuring out what I was doing with the brand and all that. I put it up there and it just started going crazy. I was getting people like nuts. And I'm putting like $5 a day in presenting an ad to people and it's going gangbusters. So, it's not that there's not people out there who have an interest in what you're doing. I get messages every single day about people asking me, how do I be a gamerpreneur? I love the concept of a gamerpreneur. Like, what you're doing is awesome. I get people who, like, I'm reaching out to people on LinkedIn who I'm not connected with, right? And I'm connecting with them. And in my first message, I'm like, hey, thanks so much for connecting. I'll get a message back going, man, I love your show. What you're doing is awesome. I'm like, well, why weren't you connected with me then? Like, how did you even find me? Like, how did you know about me before I reached out to you? And that's kind of the goal, but that's definitely not the first step, right? You never know where your content is going to go once you start marketing it. You may get known in a whole other country that you're not even expecting to be famous in, and that could be the result of you starting to market yourself. But it's not going to happen unless you put yourself out there. And I know, over the past year that I've been, a year and like 3-4 months, however long I've been doing this, I've talked to a lot of people, and a good number of people will all tell me that I just don't have the money to do this, Brad. I'm not Daddy Warbucks. I don't have, bags of cash to be carrying around like the Monopoly man. Like, how am I supposed to be advertising? Like seriously, guys, it doesn't take a lot. I'm currently doing with $5 a day on Facebook at the moment. I'm $10 a day. I'm doing $5 on getting page likes. So presenting that same ad that I've had since March, just saying, hey, if you want to be a gamerpreneur, follow me. And then the other one is just for video views. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Yeah, $10 total. It's $300 over the month. I don't spend a lot of money on this because I'm still growing it. But you could do $5 a day. You could do $1 a day if you really wanted. It's not going to have the kind of the explosive effect that you want, but it might. Because I'll tell you, over the summer, I was boosting some memes, just some memes I found online, right? Just boosting them. And I was getting like 10,000 shares on these memes. And that was all organic traffic. The people sharing, all organic. My numbers looked freaking fantastic. But I was only putting like $5 a day behind that ad in order to get millions of post reach on a single post over a week. Like it was just nuts how well it was working. It doesn't take a lot of dollars if you're playing the game right. Okay, just like any video game, if things aren't working, figure out how to play the game better. Get good, right? Just get good, son. L2P. Learn to play the game of marketing, because that's all this really is. It's a game. And most marketers will tell you, they just kind of throw stuff at a wall until something sticks, and then they dump money into it because that stuck. That's all you really have to focus on. I just today, just before I went on and started doing this episode, I was just scrolling through Facebook, and I found somebody marketing something into the gaming space. And I don't want to promote them. I asked the guy to be on my show, so we'll see if he comes on. But I saw this person selling something, and it was clearly reading a script, and it was actually a script that I'm fairly familiar with. A lot of marketers and salespeople will kind of sell the same script, so you kind of know it when you see it. And he had kind of the PowerPoint, like it was clear I knew what he was doing. But the fact that he was out there doing something, I don't see a lot of ads from gamers. Every now and then, I'll see a streamer promoting themselves. Not usually a big streamer, just a smaller streamer, just trying to get people to follow them or to watch them. And, this was like somebody actually selling stuff into the gaming space, focusing on esports. And I was like, heck yeah, right on. You don't see a lot of that happening. This person, I was actually the first 2 likes on, there was no comments, no likes when I saw this ad. I was the very first 2, for me personally and my page liked it. But this person is trying something. And this person got me to see it. Now I asked this person to be on my show. I've got 105,000 followers on Facebook. Who knows who's going to see this person's interview if that person comes on? And, what could happen with that person from there, right? Like I started boosting my videos last week or so. Hadn't been boosting them before. I'm now boosting my videos. So like it's so cool to me that gamers are starting to figure this out, because a year or so ago when I was starting the Gamerpreneur brand, nobody was marketing. When I was first interviewing people, I interviewed the marketing director of a company that was a startup. It wasn't a startup. They were starting up their company, but they had a ton of money invested in it. This marketing director straight said, nobody's marketing. Nobody knows what they're doing. Not one has a clue. And I've talked to other marketers. I've done other interviews. Go back, watch all my interviews. Marketers go, yeah, nobody's marketing in the gaming space. Guess what that means? That means there's a ton of opportunity for you here. If you could just put a few dollars in, if you can find a few dollars, go find some dollars. Go find somebody that you could do something for some extra dollars every month. $5 a day times 30 days is $150, okay? Times 31, it's 155. So if you can find $155 a month, you can do $5 a day in ads and you can start to grow something. It may not be like super, super fast but you know what? My show, this brand here didn't start super fast. Like I had 8 followers on Facebook in March of 2020. I just checked before I came on, I'm at 105,000 followers. But the vast majority of those followers did not come March, April, May, June, July, August. No, it wasn't really until maybe October, November, December, January that my numbers really started to stack up and look really good. Like these things take time, and you really do have to understand that. Don't be rushing. A lot of people are rushing, and I'm personally opposed to the grind, hustle lifestyle, because I think most people are just going to burn out doing it. It takes a special kind of crazy to live that kind of lifestyle. And even then, they really do give themselves a little bit of time. They really do hang out. And if you're making the money, if it's rolling in, hey, go ahead and grind because you're making it, right? But what else could you be doing with the money that you're making? You could be investing that in finding better ways to promote yourself, or branding yourself, and hiring staff members to grow your business, and actually scaling your business instead of just focusing on doing the same thing yourself and then hoarding the money. Money's meant to be spent. Money's not meant to be hoarded. If you put it in the bank, it's losing money just by sitting in the bank. It takes something like 800 plus years in order to make to make 1% of your money back, I think it is. No, it's crazy how long it takes to make money in the bank, because the banks give what 0.0001%, 0.001%. It's really tiny. It takes years and years and years and years to make anything off the bank. You're losing money to inflation if you put it in the bank. You should be spending your money on things that will help you grow, help you make more money, build out your business. Like that's it, okay? So focus on contacting people. Focus on putting yourself out there. When I first started the brand, I was on Twitter and YouTube. That was it. I think I had started the Facebook page. I think I'd started the Instagram page, but I didn't do anything with those two. I was on Twitter and YouTube, and on YouTube, I was just posting my videos. So it was Twitter. And I was contacting people left and right. I was messaging people. I was liking their stuff, and I was commenting and And I grew from like 0 to like 500 people in 2 months. It was pretty quick. And if I continued on that path, I would have kept growing. What happened though was I got onto Facebook and I started putting some money into ads on Facebook, and it went way faster. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm able to contact people way faster on Facebook, and it's costing me almost nothing to do it. I might as well put my money there and focus my time and attention on this platform. And that one grew. So what ended up happening with Twitter though? I totally stopped looking at Twitter. And I went from like 700 followers at like the high point down to like, I think I'm at like 630 or so. Like I've been losing people because I'm not really connecting. I'm not talking to people. I'm not doing much on Twitter because all my focus is over on Facebook and my other platforms where I'm actually getting some growth. But it just goes to show you where your attention is, things will grow. Okay. Whether that's your business or your personal life, where your attention is, your energy, it's going to grow. Okay. So just figure that out. Figure out where you want to focus your attention, and then spend your attention there. Put your time and energy there. Focus on talking to people, getting to know people, reaching out to people, creating partnership, creating sponsorships or advertising agreements. Figure out how to grow on one thing. Focus on one thing, and it will start to grow if you put your time and attention there. All right. I want to remind you, organization is the enemy of sloth. You have to have a plan. Don't just one day do this, one day do that. Think about this some days, do that one other days. Nothing's ever going to happen if you do that. Focus on something and drill into it. Just drill down deep, okay? And then just keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. It potentially could take you months. It potentially could take you years to grow. I mean, it depends on what you're doing. But if you focus on it and you don't have any money to put in, eventually, over time, it will start to stack, okay? Now, if you have money and the ability to put your time into it as well, you can multiply your time and money and things will grow faster, but only if you have a plan and a strategy on how to create it. Now, just real quick, I haven't done this myself. Okay, I'll first to admit, I have not actually reached out to any sponsors. I haven't wanted to have any sponsors on my show yet. I've kicked it around. I've talked about it for the entire past year. I've talked to all kinds of people who go out and find sponsorships and ask them for advice on how to do it. It's just never felt right for me yet. But I had a guest on a few months ago, I think it was. His name was Zach Brown. He actually had invited me to be on a podcast of his. And right at the beginning of the show, I think I was like the fifth person he'd interviewed, right? And right at the beginning of his show, he was reading his sponsors for his show. And he had some decently big sponsors for his show. And he had just started it. I'm like, wow, that's so cool, man. How did you do that? And he's like, I asked. All right. That's really the secret in order to getting sponsors and partnerships and investors and all of that is to ask. But you're not going to be able to get any of it unless you ask. You have to have first contact. In order to have first contact, you better have a plan of what you're asking for and what you're going to provide in exchange for what you're asking for, because that's how it works, right? You don't just get stuff, you got to give stuff as well. So figure out that plan. What is it that you're offering to people? The smaller the thing that you're offering, the smaller the value that it's worth. The bigger the thing that you're offering, the bigger the value that's worth. And therefore means more dollars or bigger investment or more partners or something, okay? Need a plan. Organization, the enemy of sloth. All right. So that's what I got for you all today. Try it. Seriously, pick a platform. It doesn't matter. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. It doesn't matter. Okay. Just start chatting with people. Just, if you're in the gaming space, pick a game that you're streaming or playing or esports or, whatever, teams, companies, it doesn't matter. Pick a hashtag related to that, see who's posting on that and just start commenting on people's stuff. I am dead certain you will get more followers. It may not trickle quite to your stream if you're on Twitch or if you're on Facebook. It may not quite trickle to your stream or to your company page, but it will start to build up that platform. And as your platform is starting to grow, you start to look more legitimate. And the more legitimate you look, the closer people are going to want to look at you and your business or your brand or whatever. And that is when people will start to take notice and want to look at you a little bit further and start to follow you, okay? But you really do need some numbers. Look, if you have one follower, what are the odds people are going to come flocking to you? How much? You got 10 followers. How about 100? You're still pretty small. 1,000? I mean, you got 1,000 followers, but you're still pretty small. 10,000? That's a little respectable. Okay. People might be willing to chat with you. 100,000? Yeah. People stand up and notice. How did you do that? That's a lot of followers. Where are you at? 1 million? It's all a matter of where the decimal place is, right? Figure out a plan to grow. Figure out how to 10x every time. And I'm certain you will be able to grow if you just stick with it. All right, everybody. Don't be just a gamer. Be a gamerpreneur.